Alright, this is going to be a relatively quick changelog video for Animar. The cuts are going to surprise a lot of you. One of the cards I'm going to cut, a lot of you are going to think, why would you cut that? What's wrong with you? I'll explain why I'm going to cut it and and show what's going in. So background on Animar. Animar is one of my oldest commander decks. He's been with me the longest. Ever since 2011 when they introduced these first Commander Precons, I bought them, bought all four, built Animar, and out of the ones that I got, out of the ones I built from that era, Animar is the only one left standing. All the other ones have fallen by the wayside for various reasons. Either they became unplayable in my playgroup, I decided after all they weren't fun to play, or for like the case of Thermok the Insatiable, he just always played the same. He was very effective, very good deck, but just too consistent, and he kind of needed to be in order to kick off his game plan. Animar, and I'll post the deck list in the description, he's got 56 creatures. He's a toolbox deck. There are only 4 non-creature spells in the entire deck. 1 instant, 1 enchantment, 2 artifacts, no, 2 planeswalkers. So 6. So there's 2 planeswalkers, 2 artifacts, 1 instant, 1 enchantment, 6 non-creature spells. All the other 56 cards that are not a land are creatures. And Animar is just a blast to play. And he's also really, well, kind of simple to build because you just stack up creatures and go. And he goes. So let's get to it. So there's Animar. Put him over there. Alright, first off, let me show you what's going in. So I'm going to put in, I got 3 Tishana's Tidebinder from a trade. One of them is already in Azami. One of them is still in my art binder because I do not have a good place for it. I would like to put it into Muldratha as another incidence of graveyard protection, but I don't feel like I need it. She already has 5 pieces of graveyard protection now. She has a lot of counter creatures. She's in a pretty good spot, and I don't know what I would take out. I could take out, say, Overtaker, but I kind of like it. It's funny. So there's no obvious things to take out, and since there's no obvious reason to shove Tishana's Tidebinder into Muldratha, it's just kind of in a holding pattern. Azami was easy. Take out a card that was subpar, put in the Tidebinder. So Animar is kind of the same. I'm taking out a card that, even though it's good, even though it would have a nice effect in the game, it only works with about 8, maybe 12 of the 56 creatures. So it doesn't really justify its slot. So, curious to see if this works out as well as I think it does. And then, I have this. I found it in the collection of cards I've set aside for my daughter. So if you've been watching that series, I built my daughter a modern Golgari Squirrel deck. It's fun. Oh my god, is that deck fun to play. It's hilarious. She doesn't really appreciate it yet as much as I had hoped, but it didn't make her sit down last night and play it. And when she made 6 squirrels in one turn off a couple of off a, let's see, she had Chatterfang out. She played 1 spell and then she played Chatterstorm, so she got 6 squirrels in one go, and she was pretty happy. And I've got this box of just random cards that I don't want to put into my trash tower and aren't valuable enough or are too damaged to buy lists to Churny Retige. Don't have enough financial value for me to list in MKM because I don't list anything on Magic Card Market for less than 10 euros. I'm not walking to the post office for less than 10 euro. I get and I appreciate, I really appreciate all the sellers that are listing things for 2 crowns, 3 crowns, so I can buy things that Churny Retige might not have, but I ain't going to do it. So anyway, she had this Keega the Tidestar. And I thought, well, shit, I should have put this into Animar a long time ago. In fact, I probably had it in Animar a long time ago. That's probably where it came from. So these are going into Animar. Let me show you what's coming out. Let me show you the card that doesn't quite have the impact. So Thrix, the Sudden Storm. The reason he's in here, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. I looked up some old videos trying to figure out. I didn't film that for some reason, apparently. Thrix is in Animar as a recent addition. In fact, I haven't even played Animar since putting Thrix in the deck. But there was something Animar had that another deck needed more. So I took it out and I put in Thrix as a replacement because, I mean, he's a big flashy flying creature. My spells of CMC 5 or more cost 1 less to cast, can't be counted. Well, Animar just by himself reduces the casting cost of the cards. Yes, he could say I have something cost 6. I would only need, say, 4 counters on him, plus whatever colored mana to cast it. So it does reduce the casting cost, but there's only about, like I said, about a dozen cards out of the 56 creatures that would actually interact with. Both planeswalkers are 3, the artifacts are 3 and 2, the instant is 1, the enchantment is 3. So Thrix, just as cool as he is, he's just not necessary. So he's coming out, and you can take your pick. Either Kiga is replacing him, or Tishana's Tidebender is replacing him. However you want to look at it. The next card is coming out. I just don't want to play it anymore. I just don't. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Cube, my buddy Cube, he's got an Eldrazi deck. He's got a colorless deck. He's got Ulamog in there. I've had Ulamog in play before, and I didn't really think about it when I was having fun with him. And when you're staring down Ulamog, this defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. That's really eye-catching. That really drives home what they're trying to do with Eldrazi. That was flavorly a very good addition to the card from Wizard of the Coast. Because let's say by the time Ulamog comes down, you have 80 cards left in your library. All he has to do is attack, and whoosh, a quarter of your deck is gone. Maybe your win condition is gone. Maybe something you're relying on is gone. And 3 more attacks, and whoosh, you've got no more library. He's indestructible. And he exiled 2 things and he came into play. All for only 10 mana, which with Animar isn't that hard. So I just don't want to play him. I don't like being on the receiving end of it, so I don't want to be on the pushing end of it. I still have Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, and I still have Kozilek in in Animar. But Kozilek, so he costs 10 also, and I get 4 cards. I don't destroy anything. I don't exile 2 of my opponent's permanents. Yeah, he's got Annihilator 4, which is pretty powerful. But he doesn't have the, I'm going to just wipe out a quarter of your deck in one swing sort of thing. Yeah, there's one of the Planeswalkers. Okay. So those are the changes I'm making to Animar. Maybe I'll take it to tomorrow's pub night. Maybe not. Like I said, Animar is one of my oldest decks. He never gets old. If he gets boring, I just swap around some creatures. If it gets really boring, I used to have I maintained 2 put together 100 card different versions of Animar. I used to have 2 full Animar EDH decks. One of them was basically this. The creatures have changed over the years. Some of them have changed over the years. A lot of them have never changed. Bloom Tender, as soon as I could get one, she's always been in there. Spike Feeder's always been in there. This is a relatively new edition. See, this is printed in 2016, so I say relatively new. Master Biomancer has always been with Animar. Wood Elves, Men of War. So most of these cards have always been with him. And the other version of the deck was Hydras. Basically, it's almost tribal Hydras. It has Doubling Season, it has Ion Storm, it has even Molten Hydra. It has Sapphire Drake. So if I really get bored of Animar, then I would take out the 40 or so cards that make it this Eldrazi morph deck and switch in the there's Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, and then switch in the Hydras and make the Hydra version. And I can do that pretty much whenever I want, if he ever gets boring, which he's never been boring, ever. One of my favorite decks, and like I said, one of the ones that's been with me the longest. I think only Carador and Edric have been with me as long as Animar has. In one go. I've had Shroom for a long time, but there was a time I took her apart because she was too oppressive, and last year I reconstructed her. Same with, who else have I taken apart and reconstructed? I'd say Brago, but Brago had a final deconstruction. But anyway, those are the changes to Animar. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and Thrix come out. Kiga and Tashana's Tidebinder go in. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that I'm smoking crack, if my reasoning is incomprehensible, if my choices are if you would have other options. Anyway, right, let me post this.